Take this in here. Well, I'm going to paint today 3 pictures, and they're all to do with the story we've heard twice now, the story of the wedding in Cana of Galilee. I haven't done this for a while, feeling a bit nervous. Can you paint anything that looks like anything? We'll see. You can begin to guess what it is. Maybe. I always feel like Rolf Harris when I'm doing this. Tree. Not a tree. It is. Yes, what do you think it is? It's a wine glass. But what's the problem with it? It's empty. Yeah. So, not the nicest looking wine, but there you go. Does that look roughly right? Coca-Cola. No, this is a really full-body, deep red wine. Okay, that's what that is. Yeah, I mixed that not quite right. But anyway, there you go. Well, why have I drawn that? Because, well, what happened in this miracle that Jesus did? Anybody tell me? Yes. Yes. Jesus turned water into wine, didn't he? He'd gone to a wedding. It was a joyous occasion, a family occasion, a big celebration. Jesus was there, and then they had this catastrophe that they were running out of wine. And we have lots of questions about this particular miracle. We don't know whose wedding it was. We don't know why Jesus and his disciples were invited, but we assume they were friends of the bride or the bridegroom. We don't know if his mother had something special to do with the wedding, because she seemed to be particularly worried when they ran out of wine. So lots of things we don't know, but we do know this, that Jesus had gone along to the wedding to enjoy this occasion. And the point I simply want to make from this is that God is not a killjoy. God is not a killjoy. God doesn't say, if you become a Christian, that's all your enjoyment gone. You know, you're going to have to do this, that, and the other now. No, God is not a killjoy. God wants us to enjoy fullness of life. In fact, Jesus says in the Bible, he came that we might have life in all its fullness. And to turn our backs on all the things that the world has to offer would be a travesty and would be like turning our backs on God. God has given us a beautiful world, a world full of things to enjoy. And he wants us as Christians to enjoy those things too. In fact, Jesus even speaks of the kingdom of heaven as being like a wedding banquet. So yes, we have to live upright and moral and right lives as Christians. And we talked last week about counting the cost of becoming a follower of Christ. But he doesn't want us to stop enjoying life. God is not a killjoy, as some might have you believe. Okay. Great thing about these is this stick. Forgive me, Paget Luke. Okay, right, let's see what else we can draw. This is also something from the story. Okay. Is it a jug? Yes, it's a jug, yeah. Did you see they had those jugs? What did they use them for in the story? I don't think I can colour that in all the way down, but you get the idea. What did they use it for? Yeah, filling the jars. They used these jugs for filling the jars with water when Jesus, do you remember Jesus' mum said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. And then Jesus said, fill the jars, those great big stone jars we saw, fill the jars with water. And they used jugs like this to do it. And then what happened after they'd filled them with water? What did he say then? Do you remember? He said, dip some of the water and take it and serve it to the master of ceremonies. Now, I've never noticed this before, but Jesus didn't turn the water in those great big stone vessels into wine. And that was clear on the film clip, if you noticed it. It was only when they dipped the water out and then they took it to the master of ceremonies that the water turned into wine. The jars still had water in. But in the act of dipping it out and taking it and obeying what Jesus had said, the water turned into wine. And the point of drawing this jug is to say to you that it was only because they cooperated with Jesus that he performed this miracle. He didn't just go zap water into wine. No, he needed them to dip the water out and take it to the master of ceremonies in order to do this miracle. Well, he didn't need that, but that's what he did. He chose to cooperate. They chose to cooperate with him. He called them to cooperate with him. And if you think about the other miracle, which is a bit like this, the loaves and the fishes miracle, where Jesus takes something and he feeds people. Again, you see that little boy who offered his lunch cooperating with Jesus, offering what he had. And it's when we cooperate with Jesus that we find God's blessing. It's when we do what he says that we are blessed by him. The servants, they must have thought he was bonkers, dipping out water and taking it. And yet it turned out to be not just any old wine, the very best wine there was. That's why he stood up and said, the master of ceremonies, most people serve the best wine first, but you have saved the best to last. So a lesson there about cooperating with God. Right, one more drawing to go. Let's see. Circles are hard, aren't they? Yeah, but I've got to draw two. You can guess what this is. Who was born in Hampshire? Anyone born in Hampshire? Come on, not many. Oh, crumbs, that's not a very good circle, that one. Well, I can tell you, I was born in a completely different bit of Hampshire, but you see these all over Hampshire. No one's worked out what it is yet. This wasn't in the story, by the way. Well, sort of, but not exactly. Has anyone got what this is yet? Yay! Yeah, it's a signpost. And if it was, if it's in the village here, what would it say? Up here. Burghclere, Hampshire. Burghclere around here and Hampshire around here, wouldn't it? And it would be pointing, I don't know, should we point it to etchings well, except it's such a long word. Etchings well. It's a signpost. Yeah, I love these signposts with the Hampshire and the name of the village because they're so unique. You know, the ones you have here are different to the ones we had in my village and so on, because you have your own village name on the signpost. Why would I draw a signpost this morning? Well, the answer is because in John's Gospel, he never refers to miracles. He always refers to signs. So you would have heard in the reading and on the film clip, this first sign Jesus did at Cana in Galilee. We call it the miracle of turning water into wine, but John says it was a sign. And the point about a sign is that it points somewhere. And the miracle of the water into the wine points to something else outside of the story. It points to a meaning. What could the meaning be? Well, I think this is what the miracle of the water into the wine points to. The sign, what it's telling us something about Jesus. It's saying here is a man who can turn water into wine. Here is a man who can change a created thing. And there's only one person who can do that, and that is God. This miracle is pointing to who Jesus is. It's the very first miracle that he did. He just called his first disciples. They were with him. They would have seen this, and already they would begin to get excited. Who is this man that they have chosen to follow, who can turn water into wine? And of course, they would go on to have their lives changed enormously by Jesus. In fact, he calls us all to give our lives to him, and he will change our lives from water into wine. So, Jesus loved a party. God is not a killjoy. He calls us to cooperate with him and to obey him and to do what he asks. And then we will see water turned into wine. We will see great things if we follow God. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to turn to our next hymn, and our next hymn is Tell Out My Song.